Welcome, flesh bearer, to Indie Spotlight. Come join us tonight to pick over the fading corpus of the blood-soaked Teoteka Empire. I will be your GM, Sizer. Your party of vagabonds trudges through the forest, spirit broken and wounded from your expedition into the decaying temple of the traitorous twin snakes. Your Nawali sorcerer laughs manically, perhaps conferring with their spirit guide, perhaps recollecting the fate of your Ruinstone Rambler at the twisted claws of the shadowed fiend that forced your group into screaming retreat. Your stomach grumbles. You ate the last of your memory-stealing shokol seeds earlier today. You've had nothing else to eat for the last 2 weeks, and you wonder what other memories this bitter repast has taken. But one thing that you could never forget is the Indie Spotlight Lightning Round. Guest, what's your name?
I am El Chupalabras, EC for short, or Chupa if you prefer.
All right, what are your pronouns, EC?
I usually go by he, him, but any and all are okay by me.
All right, and where do you live?
I'm currently living in Brazil.
Gotcha. Normally I wouldn't ask this, but you came from somewhere before that, didn't you?
That's right, I am Mexican by birth. I
It,
lived here most of my life.
yeah. And relevant to this project, I promise, folks. What kind of creative are you, EC?
I am an author, a TTRPG author and artist.
All right, and what is your project that we're talking about today?
KOKOTÖNA, a
Okay,
grimdark delve into a Mesoamerican inspired world.
cool. And any content warnings you'd like to give before talking about KOKOTÖNA today?
Of course, we will be talking about spiders, body horror, sacrifice, all those nice things.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Indie Spotlight, EC. Nice to have you here. So you
Nice
gave
to
it,
be here.
yeah, you gave us a little bit of a title of what KOKOTÖNA is, but what can you dive into it a little bit more? What is this project?
This project is many things. I would say, first and foremost, it's a love letter, a passion project in the truest sense of the word, of all the things I love about the history of my country, the pre colonial history of Mexico and its peoples, more specifically the Nahua peoples of pre-colonial Mesoamerica. Their myths, their legends, traditions, customs, all presented through, yes, grimdark and cosmic horror adjacent lens, but very much so respectful and not trying to portray anything as as an offensive caricature or stereotype. All, of course, using the Morkborg system to make it rules light, flavor heavy, and easily hackable and accessible.
And it definitely was from the playtest doc that I had the pleasure to go over. It definitely seemed like it was pretty easy. Just like I played Pirate Borg, and just roll up a character real quick. You can just pretty much roll up anything that you need to, and you're playing in just a few minutes. It feels like so. KOKOTÖNA, the word. I came across a ritual in the book that had that had that particular name. What does it mean exactly? And would you like to describe what the ritual does? And content warning definitely before we talk about this part. I think for gore.
Right, right. So I like to joke that Cocotona is actually the Nahuatl word for TTRPG, as long as you define TTRPG as to tear, rip, pinch, or gore. So
Yeah.
yeah, as long as those are the words behind those letters. But
For
in any case, Cocotona is presented as a ritual because in the lore of the game, that's that's the last thing the Wei Tlatoani, the supreme ruler of the Teoteca Empire of the imperial tribes, does. He himself inflicts this ritual upon the world using his body as the components in the lore of the game. So
yep.
that's where the title comes from. And the ritual itself is It's pretty simple. It requires the player to have the page from the Book of Rituals, Hidden Words and Magics, the Nawa Moshli. It requires also a Blood Obsidian blade. Any kind of blade would do. A sword, a maquawitl, a tech battle. Clear view of the moon and proximity to sacred ground. So what do you have to do to perform the KOKOTÖNA ritual? The last of the ritual magics present in the book. Well, first you must destroy the page containing the ritual. Then you tear out your own heart from your chest with the blade. Then you take a bite from it and destroy anything that's left. And what does it do? Well, you die, of course. But more importantly, your flesh returns to Teotlan and Naktokatl, the moon and spider gods respectively. And each of your allies gains a permanent plus D3 to their hit points, plus 1 to 2 random attributes, and increases their Tetsawiya die by 1 tier. And catastrophes are rolled back by 1, because KOKOTÖNA is, of course, solo player friendly, duo player friendly, but also is focused on group cooperation. I would say a little bit more than your typical borglike.
Yeah, and definitely that would be like, the Hail Mary, I'm going to sacrifice myself for my crew move there. If you can find the ritual, of course, but
Yeah,
boy,
no
that would be
guarantee
that's
that you will ever come across the ritual, of course.
yeah. And it's a metal way to go. We can say that much for it.
Oh, absolutely.
You will not be soon be forgotten by your party of adventurers. So
Indeed.
where did KOKOTÖNA come from? And by that I mean, where did you first come up with the idea to make a Mesoamerican borglike?
I always wanted to make a Mesoamerican styled game, something inspired by, again, by the pre-colonial history of my country, because I just love it so much. I always have, the odd note here and there of stuff that I would want to see on a game like this. Well, not only a game like this, but just media in general. And I thought to myself that I would be the one to make it. Maybe it would be a comic book, maybe it would be a novel, maybe it would be a video game, but in the end it materialized as KOKOTÖNA. And the reason why it is a TTRPG based on Morkborg is precisely because of Morkborg. I received a copy of Morkborg as a gift from my brother, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the book, I loved the art, I love how much it drips with flavor and vibes. And inside the book itself, inside of Morkborg, the scrolls, which is the way the game refers to their spells, there is one in particular, an unclean scroll called Metzwotl Blind Your Eye. And that's where inspiration hit, because the rest of the scrolls have names that are very much aligned with traditional European fantasy settings,
Yeah.
like Palms Open the Southern Gate, Lucifer's Levitation, things like that. But Metzwotl, I do not know if it was the intention of Johann or Pele, whoever wrote that particular spell. Metzwotl sounds Nahuatl. It cannot be directly translated into Nahuatl, but it sounds like the Nahuatl language of the Mexica. And that's where the idea first appeared to make this project into a Morkborg hack. The name Metzwotl eventually evolved into Metzteotl, just to give it more of a foundation in the real world. Metzteotl meaning, of course, moon god from Metzli and Teotl.
Yeah, interesting background on that particular god too. A lot of the gods in this setting seem to be not having a great time of it. Tell you what. Um, but before we get to that, in the playtest doc, you wrote a bit about your intentions for the setting. Can you say a bit about that?
Yeah, of course, of course. Um, a lot of KOKOTÖNA is written almost as a response, as a reaction to the fact that there will always be people that will look at a setting like this, at a game like this, and just see it like as a place to plunder, a place to conquer, to exploit the native population. And that's not what I want, because Kotona is not a story about coming into a quote unquote new world. It's a story about a world that has always been there and the people that inhabit it. And that's what they are. They are people. They are flawed, they are fierce, but they are not savages. Neither are they bloodthirsty savages gnawing bones in the dark, or nor are they wise, noble savages untainted by the horrors of civilization. No, they are people. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, most of them are a mix of both. And as long as people can come into the table with that mentality, with that mindset, they will they will have a good time.
Yeah, for sure. And we certainly know that there have been there's a share of games about South America that have not done a good job with this at all. But I've noticed recently we've got, or I guess it's sorry, not South America, but well, I specifically thought of South America because there was a particular setting I was thinking of that we talked about a little bit, Mazteca, which was an old D&D setting.
Yeah.
But recently we've been seeing like more creators creating work in TTRPG work based on the cultures that they come from, right? Like if we're going to use the Americas as an example, we've got Koboa, we've got, which is the South American TTRPG. We've got Coyote and Crow, which is like the North American TTRPG. All of these are post-colonial, or I guess you would even say pre-colonial works, because the colonists just don't show up. The people who live there are the central characters of the story,
Indeed.
not the people who are coming from outside. And that is the kind of thing that I'm interested in exploring personally. And I think that you're going to have a good audience of folks, especially seeing the response to your Kickstarter, who feel the same way. So, sorry, just saying my piece there. But let's get back to the interview. Morkborg, and the games that have come out of it, the borglikes, has always felt kind of swords and sorcery to me, right? A little more personal, a little darker, and not necessarily as epic. You're not necessarily out to change the world or save it. Although maybe in this game you are. Has that genre influenced you at all in KOKOTÖNA's creation?
Yeah, absolutely. KOKOTÖNA is very much so a swords and sorcery tale because, yeah, it is personal, it is dark, it is gritty, it is morally ambiguous, and you are more than likely not going to save the world. You can try, but your duty and your fate as a citizen of the Teoteca Empire and as a flesh bearer is to die, to return what has been stolen back to the gods. Besides that, there is also the weird fantasy aspect, the pulp aspects of KOKOTÖNA itself.
Yeah.
Because KOKOTÖNA is many things. Historically accurate is not one of them. KOKOTÖNA, yeah, KOKOTÖNA contains things that do not exist in reality and that were inspired by works that, yeah, did a pretty bad job of portraying Mesoamerican civilization, but that I, as a person, as a Mexican person, did enjoy. Like, just to give you an example, the road to El Dorado. Like, that's a thing that I really liked to watch as a kid. That I love that movie. I loved watching Legends of the Hidden Temple, the game show from Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I loved I love Atlantis, the Lost Empire, and all of those weird ancient tech aspects of it. And those are things that, in a way or another, are present in KOKOTÖNA, among many, many others. So, so that's where the pulp aspect comes from. That can there's like eldritch things in KOKOTÖNA as well. There are homages to certain properties out there that wouldn't feel out of place in your typical Morgborg. And the and I would say the only difference is where they are. They are in a Mesoamerican style setting, and they have a more appropriate name for this world compared to a European style one.
Yeah. And it's a very as I've said before, it's a very interesting world. Um, I, the playtest did a good job of making me want to learn more. I will say, because there's a lot of there's a few deities that aren't gone into, and like not all the classes are there, but it makes you want to dig a little bit. Speaking of which, what
Yeah.
kind of research did you dig into when you were working on KOKOTÖNA? Whether it was historical, anthropological, folkloric, linguistic. Now I know you talked to me about the language that you're studying a bit for sure.
Yeah, of course. A lot of the research went into learning Nahuatl. Not, I do not speak it fluently, and I don't think I will be the person writing the Nahuatl translation. I don't consider my skills to be good enough for that. But just seeing how the language is constructed, seeing what the root words are and how they combine, gives you a pretty good idea as to how the Mexica and other Nahua peoples view the world. Besides that, there were some times that tried to I tried to dig in a little bit deeper, and a great resource for that was the Mexico Lore website, which is absolutely fantastic. It explains anything and everything, each question, and I do mean all of them, that I had while developing the game was basically answered by that website and properly cited with tons and tons of research, which made it quite quite an invaluable resource. After
Yeah.
that, there was also the more historical accounts written the by the Spanish. Actually, there were not many indigenous accounts, so that one was a little bit trickier because when you go into the eyes of the people doing the colonization process, the conquest of Mexico, well, of what now is Mexico, and at that time was going to be called the New Spain, but that's not important. You have to keep in mind that it was written for a purpose, a propagandistic purpose. So you have to be careful as to how you interpret things. Like, for example, there is a lot of condemnation of sorcery and ritualistic behavior in these accounts, in these Spanish accounts, but that's because of that their job was to, justify this expedition as a way to spread the word of Christ, for example. So, so I would say that was a very tricky source to use, but nonetheless valuable, just because of how close to the actual historical context it could be.
And I
Then, of
understand.
course, there's the go
Please
on.
go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. Then, of course, there's the myths and legends that I have been hearing since I was a child and that I research more of to create the bestiary and some of the classes and how they interact with the world. Things like Nahuales or the Tlahuelpuchi. La Llorona is in KOKOTÖNA, even though she's not exactly a pre-colonial figure. But do go on, please.
Well, I was just going to say I've run into the same thing, some of the same things when I've been researching uh, Caribbean history, Caribbean history, because specifically one of the books I read was a pretty well-known one called A General History of the Pirates, but they definitely, it acts as kind of a travelogue to what was some of the known colonial world at that time, including, a lot of slavery apologia. People basically saying, putting the myth of the happy slave out there and saying, "Oh, this is like the
Yeah,
proper racial hierarchy." Some pretty
yeah, yeah.
disgusting stuff, but it is still instructive to see how these kind of things were looked at the time, even if all I really wanted to read about was what happened to these real life pirates. But you're gonna come across that if you research the history of the Americas. So it's just par for the course, I suppose. Yeah,
It is what it is. Yeah,
yeah,
there is sadly no there are sadly no records coming from the native voices, whether
yeah,
that is because they were destroyed or because they weren't considered important by those civilizations or whether they didn't have a writing system itself. Well, it's not important. The fact of the matter is that there aren't many.
yeah. And that's a hard thing to grapple with. But let's talk about your game a little bit more. Moving away from that topic a little bit. Your playtest had options for 6 different classes. I understand that there's 10 total, and you've got a lot of different things in there: warriors, sorcerers, healers, like mystical hunters, monster hunters. I believe they were specifically. So, which one is your personal favorite?
Oh man, you're asking me to choose between my children.
I know, right?
Well, just to clarify something, the there are not 10 classes. There are more than 10 classes in the full
Oh,
version
okay.
of the game. I would like to keep the exact number a secret, but I would say that probably my favorite out of all of them, like the one I I like the most, is is one that is included in the playtest, the Runestone Rambler. I
Ah,
am a
okay.
sucker for artificers. I love them. And I also love archaeology. Like, that's one of the things that made me fall in love with the pre-colonial history of Mexico, the archaeological sites. I I loved visiting them as a child. I loved going to Teotihuacan, to Tulum, to Chichen Itza, to Tula, many different places. So I wanted I wanted a way to have that in KOKOTÖNA, to have that experience because sure, it's um, it's not entirely unexpected that if you're having a game set in a Mesoamerican equivalent, you want to explore a pyramid or a temple.
Yeah.
But how do you do that if people are still living there? Well, the obvious answer is that they aren't, since the history of Mesoamerica is so vast that there were already civilizations that were gone by the time of the Aztecs, by the time of the Mexica. And that's where the Olmecs, or in this case, the KOKOTÖNA equivalent, the Olimeca, come, come to. Like there is this ancient civilization that was there before the divine world of creation. So, so the Runestone Rambler is that. It's an artificer, an archaeologist, an explorer that researches the Olmeca and their downfall. What happened to them? What did they leave behind, and who were they? So that's I would say my favorite of the classes.
Cool. And I have to ask then, with that context, are they based on? Is the thought there that they're based on the Maya a little bit, the precursors of the Aztecs?
No, no, they are based on the Olmecs.
Okay. Oh, okay. Pardon me. I missed that. Okay.
Yeah, they they are based on the Olmecs and just the idea of their civilization, the name of them, their appearance. It's a pun. Like the word Olmec means people of rubber. That's the name the Mexica gave to the Olmec, because they found rubber balls and other rubber crafts in their sites when they explored them. So they assumed that they were masters of rubber, whereas the Olmeca are kind of a plasmoid species. So they are literally people of rubber in KOKOTÖNA.
Okay. But maybe a little bit stranger than say Monkey D. Luffy in that
Oh yeah,
case.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right. So let's see here. Here's one thing I was wondering about, because you described KOKOTÖNA as grim to noble dark, but I haven't really seen the noble dark side of it, at least in the playtest material. It kind of seems like the world is pretty fucked, to be quite honest. You've got all these gods that are have gone through trauma. They're pretty much mad, and they're kind of taking it out on the world around them, or seemingly so. So can is it Teotlan? Am I saying that right?
Teotlan, yeah, sure.
Okay. Teotlan, is there a way to save it, or is it just kind of you're just kind of waiting for the end?
I would say that's up to the GM and to the group to decide. There are tools in the book, passages, whispers, rumors, like the KOKOTÖNA ritual, for example. That
Yeah.
rolls back catastrophes by one. That is huge. That is not something that happens in Morgborg. Using KOKOTÖNA, you can absolutely stop, prevent, and delay the end of the world indefinitely. But it comes to great personal cost, your
Yeah.
life.
Well,
So
that is quite a price to pay for it. Yeah.
so there is another thing, another aspect of KOKOTÖNA that evokes the noble dark, which is that, yeah, the world itself is not a great place, but this is not a world that turned into shit from one day to another. It is something that happened over thousands of years, and it's something that the people there have learned to adapt, learned to survive. So these are not people that are, well, at least in my head, these are not people that are just saying, oh, poor me, oh, how much we suffer, oh, everything sucks. These are people that continue to live, continue to exist, because this is what they know, this is how they are, and they are not going to let the end of the world get on the way of them living. They are fighting here to outlive their gods.
Okay.
And that to me carries a certain noble dark beauty.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from now. That does make sense. So you're gotta hang in there. It's resilience, really, is where we get the noble dark sentiments.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, talking about the project itself, it's done pretty well as far as by my standards. You've unlocked about 5 of your 8 stretch goals, and you've chosen some meaningful dates to begin the project and at one of the milestones. So, would you please tell us about those?
Absolutely. So I started this Kickstarter campaign on Columbus Day because fuck Columbus, fuck
Yeah.
colonialism. And I don't know, I'm a professional shit stirrer, I suppose. It has of course come with the consequences of that. People uh, saying some pretty wild stuff about the project, making assumptions about what it is, thinking it's just a hippy dippy, everything was nice before the Europeans came, but no, that's not the case. But I mean, the project is obviously not for you if you are going to be a colonialism apologist, so whatever. And
Yeah.
the other uh, one of the stretch goals, the $7,000 stretch goal, was going to be revealed on November the 1st. That didn't happen since we actually unlocked it, and I'm absolutely grateful for that. But still, the second stretch goal, the 13,000 stretch goal, is set to be revealed on the day of the death, on November the 2nd, because I feel it's an important part of Mexican identity, modern Mexican identity. It is a day that many people consider a link to more pre-Hispanic celebrations. Some would
Hmm.
disagree. I am somewhere in the middle of this whole
Okay.
issue, but I do believe it's an important part of Mexico and a good day to celebrate the well the Mexica roots of the country.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's definitely a some good picks for that, and I definitely appreciate the stirring aspect of it. Don't think that that's lost on me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, definitely. If you're viewing this now, the Kickstarter or when I release it on the 30th of October, make sure to check out the Kickstarter. It's closing in on that 13K mark. So if you want to definitely keep up with the project and tune in on November 2nd to see what that extra stretch goal is. That sixth stretch goal. So,
Absolutely. You
all right,
don't want to miss it. It's good.
cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. So EC, do you have any other previous projects or professional skills you'd like to tell us about today?
Well, as you can see, I have my a VTuber model because I used to stream as a VTuber. I had this whole project about edutainment content regarding languages because I do love my languages. That's where the name comes from, El Chupalabras, the word soccer. Uh, because that's what I am. I am a sucker for words. Um, that never panned out too much, but it wasn't a bad thing. It just happened that people liked my art more than they liked my content. So I just pivoted. Like, sure, why not? I'll start offering my services to other people, other streamers that require art, graphic design, logos, backdrops, that kind of stuff. But eventually, I wanted to branch out into TTRPG um, production, which is where when I started creating modules for Morkborg, because again, love that game. There's there's one I call my portfolio piece. It's over on itch.io, elchupalabras.itch.io, which is an eternal itch. That's the name of the piece, and it's a mini module containing stuff to add sicknesses, disease, a plague doctor player class for Morkborg, some monsters themed after vectors of infection, and I think it came out great. Then there's of course other small stuff that I have made for fun. Another big project that that I had was Paraclasm, which I made with a friend I made during my VTuber days called Sentia. And this is a trading card game, um, which is not that grimdark. It has some grimdark aspects to it, but it's mostly a kitchen sink fantasy trading card game with a very
Hmm.
interesting balance mechanic, very interesting combat and positioning mechanics. I really like it. I think that one day that's going to be another big project that we will bring to Kickstarter in the future, of course, not right now. There is Sheltered, which is my take on a Fallout style TTRPG, just with the serial numbers filed up, of course. For legal reasons, I have never heard of Bethesda Softworks.
Of
So
course.
that's a fun one. It's modeled after informational brochures, like corporate lingo all over it, and it fits into a trifle brochure itself. The TTRPG is fun like that because it's short enough and dense enough to fit into one single trifle brochure. And another project of mine, I would say another personal project of mine, is Dread Shrines, which is a solo roguelike dungeon crawler, pen and papers journaling game that that is it is more than it seems on the surface. Like sure, you can just play it as it is, not dig into it and have a good time. But with some critical thinking, there are some very personal messages inside of that game.
Cool. And folks, any links to all EC's Itch and all of the other projects will can be found in the show notes for this episode. So make sure to check those out. So if, check out those previous projects too, in addition to KOKOTÖNA. But EC, are there any other projects you've got in the pipeline that you feel like maybe teasing us about tonight?
I had a horrible realization the other day where I was already crafting a new Morgborg adventure and setting as I was going to bed, and I was like, God damn it. This is going to be the next thing I do after KOKOTÖNA, isn't it? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I'm just going to say that this is going to be another, how can I say it? It's going to be another big adventure.
Okay.
And it's going to be uh, halfway through a setting, halfway through a module, but it's going to be all full of Morky and Borgy goodness. Besides
Cool.
that, there are some other things that I do have planned further down the pipeline, starting with the world of KOKOTÖNA from a different perspective. As I mentioned before, Teotlan right now is in a period of absolute decadence, and it's not great. It's not a great place to live, but I always believe that there was always a rise before the fall. And I would like to explore the golden age of Teotlan. But that's not something that I think would be appropriate in Morkborg. So the system I chose for that was Daggerheart,
Okay.
and I think it's a pretty good fit. But I also have to contend with the fact that everyone seems to have forgotten about Daggerheart at this point. So I do not know if that's my best choice to present this story.
Well, we'll see. I
Uh,
don't know. I don't think that the heyday of Daggerheart is gone just quite yet, but that just might be my intuition talking. We'll have to wait and see. But
Hopefully it's not because Jolotopili, as it is known right now, fits pretty well with Daggerheart.
cool. Well, we'll look forward to seeing that. Do you have a name for it yet that you can tell us, or are you still kind of working on it?
I mean, the name right now is Jolotopili.
Okay, gotcha.
Means heart staff, and it was a ritual instrument during some celebrations.
Okay, cool.
And I guess the last one is something that I would like to keep secret, but I would say that it's more a toolkit than anything else. It's something that I'm trying to prepare to give back to the community. Just something that is completely free, Creative Commons license for anyone to use and hack to pieces.
Nice. All right. Well, that sounds great to me. And I'm very interested to see what else you put out here in the future, EC. But would you like to leave the listeners with anything before we sign off for the evening?
Well, first of all, if anyone here is already a backer for KOKOTÖNA, I would like to express my most sincere thanks. The response I have gotten to my game has been absolutely astounding and humbling and just amazing. I am really, really happy with how much we surpassed the initial funding and how much we are able to build upon because of your support, the support of all of you and your interest and your trust and faith that I will be able to deliver something that all of you will hopefully enjoy, because as is your commitment to fund this project, mine is to bring it into fruition to the best possible version I can. And if you're hearing this and haven't backed KOKOTÖNA, well, what are you waiting for? It's already quite a huge success on Kickstarter from my point of view, from my first project. Like, we have, I think, 180 something backers right now. So why not make it 200? Why not help us unlock the 13,000 stretch goal and beyond? At $20,000, we will have original art for each and every one of the pages that I will get from some really talented Latin American artists that I have worked with before. And at $22,000, the plain text version of the game will be available for free simultaneously on launch, so anyone can experience the game without needing to purchase it. Because yeah, I will make KOKOTÖNA have a free edition with little to no art, as it is custom in the Borg space. But it is planned to be released a couple of months after the full version. But with this goal, it will just be available right then and there.
Sounds great. Help EC get to those goals, folks. The link will be in the description of how to get to the KOKOTÖNA Kickstarter. Thank you for watching this episode of Indie Spotlight. And EC, thank you very much for being here to talk with me and answer a few questions about KOKOTÖNA.
Well, thank you for having me. It was great to talk about my silly Aztec game.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hey, folks, if you are interested in hearing more about the most interesting new indie games coming out, please like, comment, and subscribe to Indie Spotlight, to the Skies of Fortune channel, or here on YouTube or Spotify. Thank you so much for tuning into this one, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye!